So let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
When you're talking about the Shedeur, Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel, you guys always refer back to the preseason game with Shedeur, and that's all you're going off of. I really don't think that's fair because Shedeur hasn't got any snaps with the one. Two, the offensive line that Shadur had, none of them are with the team right now. And if you're trying to just go off of that one game, what about all the games that Dylan done had? I just can't buy that. When they're out there practicing, their practice is private. They won't even let you see Shadur. So how do Shadur go from having a horrible line in Colorado and putting up the numbers to not being able to play the game? I don't see it at all. But that's just my opinion. Thanks.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. A couple of things. Number one, none of the ones played in the Rams game, nor did the twos. And you're absolutely right. None of the offensive line were starters. But nobody on the Rams defense in that game made the 53-man roster. You're talking about the Browns holding Shadur back is what you're getting at. I know that the Browns put winning above everything else. How do I know that? They traded for Deshaun Watson when they knew he had the baggage and they knew he was going to face a suspension. Why did they do it? Because they figured he could help them win. They put winning above everything else. That trade, because of the baggage, drove a little bit of a wedge into the fan base. So to sit there and tell me that you think that Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, whose jobs are on the line, are sitting on Shadur Sanders because they don't like him, because they think, if he gives them the best chance to win, they're going to play him. They've already proved that. They traded for Deshaun Watson, and it was a colossal mess up, but they traded for him because they thought he gave them a better chance to win. Quincy, I just don't, help me understand the thought process that they think they're trying to sabotage Shadur. They've already showed you they want winning above everything else when they traded for Watson.
Well, it's also a weird dynamic because the Browns really dislike Shadur to the extent that people make it out to be. They wouldn't have traded back and drafted him, right? Like, it doesn't make sense for them to burn 2 6-round picks to then pick up a player that they hate and don't want to ever play. So like that part, I haven't heard a good justification for that. But I think the reality is that this Shedeur thing was a massive story, and it brought in a lot of people who aren't really familiar with football, or not familiar with football, but are new to this, right? And you can hear it with how people talk about his Colorado stats and his Colorado tape, as if that means anything to transferring to the NFL. I mean, we're talking about Dylan Gabriel's numbers not mattering about what he did in college. And that was in the Big 12, not the Big 12, the Big 10, right? And that's the best conference in college football right now, for my money. The Big 12, I mean, like, we're talking levels below the Big 10, maybe even with the ACC, depending on some years. But it's more of a mid-major conference now than it's ever been in the past. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of new people to this conversation that may not understand quite the difference between playing at Colorado and beating BYU and then playing the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday at 1 o'clock, and just how massive the talent disparity is there and how much of a projection it is with his Colorado numbers. Now, to the whole preseason thing, I take it with a grain of salt. He looked bad in one preseason game. He looked good in one preseason game. But even in both of those preseason outings, there were things that you would hope that he addressed. And I think the more concerning thing is the order of events there, right, Dave? That he went from looking like he's showing progress to a month later with a full camp looking like he had taken some steps backwards, which is always a concern. Ultimately, we don't know what Shedeur Sanders is going to be, and we have to find out by seeing him play. And I think we will get the opportunity to see Shedeur play at some point this year. And once he plays, I have my expectations of where that play is going to be because of what I've seen all the quarterbacks look like since 2024. I'm not going to be shocked if it's not going to blow my socks off because, again, we're talking about a guy who had good numbers in the Big 12. himself, but I mean, he wasn't Pat Mahomes at Texas A&M. I mean, at Texas Tech, right? Like, it wasn't mind-boggling stuff that we saw him do. I would be shocked if he came into the NFL and were that good. So, you know, my expectations are what I would expect from a day 2, day 3 pick at the quarterback position. And I think that's a fair place to be. And I don't think people are putting too much into that preseason game. You know, I don't think that's the only thing that you're evaluating him off of. But when you're responding and telling people, no, you need to watch him at Colorado as if that matters in the NFL, it's just like, it's a different world out here. And I think that's what some people are more aware of versus not, you know, that it's just going to be a different world with the NFL versus the Big 12.
And don't get me wrong, I hope he plays really well. I really do, because then you got something. And this franchise needs a quarterback.